in the beginning. Those three words carry more weight than most people realize. Before the universe existed, before time had a name, before anything you can see, touch, or measure was here, there was God, and He spoke. Genesis 1:1-5. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was over the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. And God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. And God saw that the light was good. And God separated the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness He called night. And there was evening and there was morning, the first day. Did you catch that? The earth was without form, empty, dark, nothing. And the first thing God did was not build something. The first thing God did was speak. He did not need material. He did not need tools. He did not need time to prepare. He opened His mouth and reality obeyed. That same voice, the one that pulled light out of nothing, is the voice that speaks over your life today. Whatever feels dark right now, whatever feels empty, whatever feels without form, He has not finished speaking. Here is something worth thinking about. God looked at the light and said, "It is good." Not perfect yet. The world was not finished. But at the end of the first day, He looked at what existed and called it good. God does not wait until everything is complete to see value in what He is building. He sees it from the first day. Genesis 1:6-13. And God said, "Let there be an expanse in the midst of the waters." And God made the expanse and separated the waters. And God called the expanse heaven. And God said, "Let the waters under the heavens be gathered together into one place, and let the dry land appear." And it was so. And God saw that it was good. And God said, "Let the earth sprout vegetation, plants yielding seed, and fruit trees bearing fruit." And it was so. And God saw that it was good. And there was evening, and there was morning, a second day, and a third day. Every single time God creates something, He stops. He looks at it, and He says, "It is good." He is not rushing through creation to get to the end. He is present in every step of it. Here's the question I want you to sit with today. Where in your life have you been so focused on the finished version that you have missed what God is already calling good right now? Genesis 1:14-25. And God said, "Let there be lights in the expanse of the heavens to separate the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years." And God made the two great lights, the greater light to rule the day and the lesser light to rule the night, and the stars. And God saw that it was good. And God said, "Let the waters swarm with swarms of living creatures, and let birds fly above the earth." And God saw that it was good. And God said, "Let the earth bring forth living creatures according to their kinds." And it was so. And God saw that it was good. Notice something. Every living thing God created, He placed in an environment designed specifically for it. Fish in water, birds in sky, animals on land. Nothing was placed somewhere it was not equipped to survive. God does not create something and then abandon it in the wrong environment. He designs the environment before He places the life inside it. And then comes the moment everything changes. Genesis 1:26-27. Then God said, "Let us make man in our image, after our likeness." So God created man in His own image. In the image of God He created him. Male and female He created them. Every other thing God created, He spoke into existence. But when it came to man, He said, "Let us make," not "let there be." Let us make. There's a difference between speaking something into existence and choosing to make something with intention, with care, with your own hands. You were not spoken into being like the stars. You were made, deliberately, personally, in His image. And then verse 31. And God saw everything that He had made, and behold, it was very good. Not just good this time, very good. The only time in the entire creation account that God upgrades His assessment is after He makes you. Before we close today, here is your question for the comments. When God looks at what He made on day 6 and says, "Very good," do you believe He was including you? Tell me yes or no in the comments, and tell me where in the world you are watching from today. Next episode, Genesis 2. And in that chapter, something happens that changes everything we think we know about what God wanted when He made us. You do not want to miss it.